Hi everyone, my name is Nadine Gilkison and I'm going to be talking to you about how you can use Whiteboard.fi with virtual learners. So some of you may have been using Jamboard, that is a Google product, and it's an awesome product for you to be able to use for small groups, but Whiteboard.fi is another option that's out there as well. So it's totally free for you to be able to use, and I'm going to go through some of the steps when you're utilizing it. So right here where it says new class, that's where you're going to set up your board. So you can type in your name. It's got even some cool settings where you can actually have a waiting room lobby so that way when the students go to the link or they type in your code, they aren't immediately onto their whiteboard. They're actually going to wait for you to let them in. And there's some other advanced features as well. When you're ready to share your whiteboard, you're going to get an option of a QR code. The one that I would use most often is copying that URL to a clipboard, because then you can paste it into Google Classroom, Canvas, Google Meet, Zoom, any of those platforms that you're doing with your students. So on my next slide here, I'm going to talk to you about some of the features that they have inside of their toolbar. So inside of the whiteboard, you get the same tools as what your students do. And you're going to get the standard ones, text, shape, copy, paste, zoom, and those. But some of the cool features that Whiteboard.fi has, I wanted to make sure that you noticed, is that it's got a flattened image. So in other words, you can put all the items onto your whiteboard, and then when you hit that button, it's going to flatten it and it's going to lock the items. It's got a music note, so if you're a music teacher and you want to be able to share out sheets of music onto a whiteboard to have students interact with, it has that option. The button where the emoji is at, it taps into different types of emojis that you can incorporate onto there easily. Also, if you're a math teacher, it's actually got a math editor for you to be able to post equations. One of the cool parts about Whiteboard.fi is when you come over to the settings wheel, you're going to see these different options. So that's where you can lock your room, hide the students' names. You have the ability to clear their whiteboards, whereas the biggest difference that I see between Jamboard and Whiteboard.fi is that in Jamboard, all of your students are on a whiteboard alongside with others. So you always have that potential that they could actually mess with other kids' things. They can actually delete frames and so on. With Whiteboard.fi, you, the teacher, you have your main whiteboard, and then you push out to individual whiteboards that your students have. Now, for this to make sense, I wanted you to see what I already have. And so I'm actually going to, with it, it's going to give me the option, I've got those little toolbars. What I simply did was I actually pulled this was an image in Google Slides, and I actually inserted it as a picture. So that's one thing I want to let teachers know up front. If you want to have something that you've already, created all of the layers, work it in like Google Drawings or Google Slides, save it as a JPEG, and then you can literally just drag and drop it into your whiteboard. So I have a math example here. So this is what it looks like on the teacher end. But what I really want you to see is that down below, you're going to see little images of all of the students' whiteboards. So I'm actually going to be able to toggle to another student's whiteboard. So what you're going to see here is actually me, because I joined it, going in incognito mode. So if you are a teacher and you want to test out Whiteboard.fi, using the incognito mode is a great mode to use. But on here, I actually see the math problem. I've worked the math problem. But then if I go back over to teacher mode, I can actually take a look at that student's work. I can tap on the student's name and I can go in and take a look at what they have. Now, as the teacher is teaching live, if they say, all right, everybody, we're going to take a look at our next slide. What do we notice? What do we wonder? We can see this graphic organizer that I've embedded that was from Jen Jones, and I've inserted a picture on top of it. So on this piece of their whiteboard, I'm basically telling them take a look at the photo. But then as I'm talking to them, I can refer that they go to the third page of their whiteboard, and now they can actually use the text tool. All right, so it doesn't matter where you get the image from, any graphic organizer that you have, you can utilize in Whiteboard.fi, and you can also utilize it inside of Jamboard. And again, if I want to take a look at what the student has done, okay, this is me as a student. So notice that I have the same items that the teacher has pushed out, and then the student can actually go in here and type what they want to type into here. So it is pretty slick. I would advise, what I try to recommend to our teachers is that if you're going to have a very small group, Jamboard is a good one for that. If you're going to have several students that you want to work on, you're going to have 20, 25 students onto a live synchronous call, my advice would be to use Whiteboard.fi, because then students can be managing their work and you're not worried about what others are doing. And just so you see the different options as a teacher, as I create my additional whiteboard pages, I can kind of work as I go. Do I want all of the whiteboard pages to be pushed out to the student, just the current page? Do I want it just as a background so that way they can't erase something? So if you haven't taken a look at Whiteboard.fi, I would definitely encourage you to do that.